Mrs. Greer, you want to take attendance, see if we have a quorum.
Okay, Greg Luzero,
Present.
Vic Beretta,
Present.
Doug Avery,
Present.
Dave Delaney,
Present.
Lou Ferrara.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Let's rise, say the pledge of allegiance, and a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a presentation tonight by Mr. Robert McKeveny, the superintendent of the Seneca Falls School District, and he's going to be speaking about school safety.
So thank you for an opportunity to attend tonight and share some information with the board. So you're aware of things that have gone on in the recent past that have drawn extra attention to school safety, and most recently the events in Parkland, Florida, which has created greater emphasis even more recently. So with the strong relationship that we have as a school district with the town of Seneca Falls and with the Seneca Falls Police Department, the chief and I have communicated and have felt that it would be prudent for us to provide you with some updates related to our school safety efforts, and then we will do the same thing with the school board at a subsequent meeting coming up. So the first thing to share is that we have had a safety plan in place in the school district for quite some time. But it was as recently as 2 years ago that all districts in New York State were directed towards the New York State Police template safety plan. And so all districts now follow that. The goal and purpose of that is so that there's common language across the state. And of course, we now are part of that process. So the template has common terms, common vocabulary, common language, so that any responders to any school district can kind of follow along with what the response plans are. So we develop, approve at the board level, and submit to the New York State Police and the New York State Education Department what's called the New York State Building Level Emergency Response Plan. That's an internal confidential document which contains a lot of personal contact information for people in the district, for people such as myself, in the event of an emergency. We also, and those are per the state to be confidential internal documents that all staff have access to. We also approve and share on our website a public safety plan. So I brought copies of those. I'll certainly leave copies with you that you're welcome to have. It's pretty much the same thing that we have internal. It's a scaled down version without a lot of the details that are confidential and personnel in nature. So the fact of the matter, and that's on our website, that can be accessed by anybody. The other thing that I brought for your attention is the emergency response guide, and this is what was put in place a year ago when all districts followed the state guidance. So this emergency response guide is posted in every room in our school district. And so for those of you that have been in the school, you've likely seen these. This basically is on any classroom wall that any student, any teacher, any parent, anyone that's in that room, if an emergency occurs, it gives a quick synopsis of what to do. And so, quite frankly, this emergency response guide deals with shelter in places, hold in place, evacuations, lockouts, and lockdowns. Okay? And so I'll also have copies of those. You're welcome to have those as well. But if you were to go in the district, you will see this. And so what we do each year, we update it, and this is the one for 17-18. We'll make tweaks to it as we move forward, and then we'll have a revised one for the subsequent year. So I have those two, just so that you're aware. It's not a new concept, safety plans. The details and also the public version of that as demonstration that there is one. And this talks about the emergency situations that could come into play. So I certainly am here to share some of that with you and let you know that It's a high priority in the school district all the time. At times like this, it's certainly a great opportunity to review them and ask for feedback from staff and students, which we are doing at this point, and then we'll continue to enhance this as we go. So the chief was going to talk to you a little bit about, under that state plan, there are required drills.
So the school has so many required drills that they've done. As we all know, they used to do fire drills consistently. Now they're mandating that they're do so many lockdown drills and so many
They call them now evacuations.
evacuation drills. So we have worked with the school district collaboratively on all those drills since the beginning, modifying both the school district's approach, the law enforcement approach, finding out what works best for both departments. And we meet regularly to make sure that all those plans are in place. Now we're going through and we're modifying and changing different things, plus we're putting different, when we run a drill, we kind of put a spin on different things to make sure that the teachers plus all law enforcement are able to react in different cases and causes. And the school resource officer is very involved in all these different things, always making recommendations. When we meet, we discuss, we openly talk about all these recommendations. I give the school a lot of credit for always being open to all of our recommendations and looking at everything openly. And we've made a lot of changes throughout the past few years. So this isn't something that we're doing just in recent. I mean, I kind of wanted to let everybody know we've been doing this for years and working towards a safer school district.
So it's required that we do 12 drills a year, 8 evacuations, 4 lockdowns. And it's unfortunate we're in a day and age where we have to drill for lockdowns. But the evacuations are what we all knew when we went to school as fire drills. But so on this, I'll tell you what a teacher and a kid would do. Goes into more detail in the plans. And the lockdown drills, I will tell you, have resulted early on, 2 years ago, a little bit of angst and a lot of anxiety, but to the point now where people are getting used to the fact that we need to practice this stuff. So, the quick and dirty of the lockdown, we have the ability to lock all doors in the school from inside the classroom. The teacher's key will lock it from the inside, so you don't have to open it and go into the hallway. And then the drill goes to the point where students go out of the line of sight with the teacher. We, pretty much I think it has been every lockdown drill that we've done in 2 years, the chief has allocated staff so that we can go and check every room to make sure that we can lift that drill, and we've checked every door to make sure it's locked, to make sure kids are out of the line of sight, the teacher's out of the line of sight, and where there's things that we can learn from, we learn from, and as the chief said, and then we enhance it from there. So, like I said, it's unfortunate, but it's becoming, we're getting used to that, and the events in the news just probably add credence to the fact that we have to do that stuff. But I will tell you that what we generally will tell kids in school, follow the directions of teachers. And by and large, they do. And our teachers do a great job of being knowledgeable about this stuff so that they can assume responsibility for kids. We're well aware the people in this community send their kids to us every day. And we assume that responsibility greatly, especially with some of these emergency drills. So where I want to go with the next part is, we also have a safety committee. Once this whole state police thing went into play, there was a requirement to have a safety committee. So we have a large safety committee that consists of stakeholder groups, a safety and risk manager from the Genesee Valley BOCES, law enforcement administrators, board members, supervisors, teachers, and we're now at the point where we're going to add student reps, because very often they will have good feedback for us, especially at the secondary level. So that safety committee has been in effect, and generally the rule is that you meet twice a year to enhance what we're doing, collect feedback. We're actually collecting questions now from each of the 4 buildings. We're going to convene the safety committee before the month of March is over, just so that we can be timely and responsive to some of the things that people are asking. And then finally, I know I'm here on behalf of the entire school district, that the school resource officer program has been a beneficial program to the school district and to the community. And so I come to say thank you, and I go back to the core goals of the SRO program: prevention, intervention, and education. Okay, and so we very much promote those things with School Resource Officer Denny. I know that the chief has worked very closely with myself to make sure that we can put that, continue to put that program in for all the right reasons, and the core mission that was created with the town board and the school board when we spent over a year researching that and putting that agreement together. So with that, I'll leave some copies. I certainly can answer any questions that you may have.
I have one, Rob. Thank you. In light of everything that's been going on, these drills are more or less concerning if someone's trying to get into the school, what you would do. We have one resource officer in that school. I started talking to him last week, and I didn't know if it's the state or who it is, but they're instructing kids to hold books in front of themselves. Is that we're teaching our kids to hold a book in front of themselves?
Not necessarily. So the fact of the matter, if we're in the classroom, the whole piece on a lockdown is lock the door from inside. If it's necessary, barricade the room from the inside, desks. So if you move a few desks in front of that door, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Now, once again, it's unfortunate, we're in a day and age that if you have to defend yourself, you have to defend yourself.
Absolutely.
So quite frankly, that may be the case, but I'll tell you right now, kids don't carry as many books as they used to. They might have a laptop, but the fact of the matter is, so it's just the fact that if you're caught in a situation, how can you put yourself in the best position to defend yourself? The doors are locked, and what we've done over the past month, we've tightened the amount of time that they're open. So they're open at entry time and they're open at dismissal. But every one of the 4 schools have tightened that up over the past 3 weeks. So there's less time for people to come in. To come in, you have to be buzzed in and you have to go to the office. And so the fact of the matter is, if someone buzzes, comes in, doesn't go to the office, then they're calling for me or the principal or the school resource officer. And so pretty much everybody that comes in
He's in one place.
follows the
He's in
protocol.
one-
He is in one place, right? So I just literally half hour came back from Albany, met with legislators today, and school safety is at the forefront of their conversations as well. And so you read many different things. What should it be, 1 SRO per district? Should it be 1 SRO per 1,000 kids? Should it be 1 SRO per building? What other safety measures can we put in place so that schools can make decisions around safety? And so once again, we collaborate with the chief and our other stakeholders. So we're not necessarily teaching that, we're teaching these measures in response to emergency.
The other question is, it sounds like you have the inside nailed down pretty good, lock the doors. When these little kids are in the playground, what assurances, how do we protect them there? It's a terrible thing, we're thinking about this
Correct.
stuff.
Supervision and proximity to the building. Okay, and I'll say that for the elementary schools. Those playgrounds are pretty close to the building, right? And I think fundamentally, we're not looking to barricade schools down where they're not community schools. This community has valued the school district as a community partner. So I certainly understand what you're saying. I'd say proximity to the building, and I don't have it on me because I had a different badge on today, is that our badges are proximity readers to get right back in the building, right? If it's locked down and we push the lockdown button, there's someone near there that can get those people in. But quite frankly, everybody carries a cell phone as well.
Is there any way that, I don't know, maybe it's far-fetched, but on recess time when they're outside, maybe you can roll a car in the area a little more? I mean, do something along those lines?
Yeah, we're having our patrol go through the schools on a daily basis, plus we have the SRO in one of the buildings at all times. So one thing that we are training the teachers on is if you have the kids out on the playground and an incident's occurring inside the school, you certainly don't bring the kids into that situation. You want to remove them from that. So we're actually teaching and training the teachers to kind of think on their feet, because they want to know, well, where do we take the kids in an incident if they're out on the playground.
Right.
We've improved the speaker system out on there to make sure that they're aware and notified of an incident, so that when they're outside and the kids are playing, they can hear these types of things. But the one main thing that we're teaching them is, if there's an incident outside, then yes, we want to bring them inside and secure them in. But if there's an incident occurring inside the school, then we remove those kids and get them as far away of that situation as we can.
Lou, it's a great point. So like, as we get to the spring, the kids at Katie Stanton, right after lunch, they're out on the playground. So point well taken. Frank Knight, the same thing. And
I know Vic Dumbioli was at Frank Knight.
Yep.
And I know he was at the door. Now, I don't believe there's anybody there anymore. Are we looking at maybe putting somebody back at
So
these places?
we had
to-
people at the doors at the 4 buildings at the time that we were installing the hardware and software to
Okay.
lock the place down.
All
And
right.
you can only buzz in. Once that happened, they have to buzz in, we have a camera here, a secretary can see them. One thing that every school district is wrestling with, what do you do with the after-school hours at the secondary level? Because the thing is open for sports, it's all open for performing arts, and we want it to be. But the fact of the
The
matter
rec
is,
center's packed for basketball
Correct.
games. I mean, these are things that go through your head.
and so the thing is, I think to piggyback on what the chief was saying, over the past 2 years, we received questions from teachers and staff and parents that, they kind of want that one answer that works. What we've kind of learned over 2 years, every situation is different, unique. So if you look at the situation in Parkland, right, so that presented new questions that came up as far as that kid went in and pulled the fire alarm. So now the state's got to come out with guidance. How are we going to conduct our drills
Right.
without creating greater anxiety? So the fact of the matter is, we're looking at all of those, but we're also telling them that every situation is different, unique. You have to think on your feet. Know that you on your cell phone, you can call a number of people, including Officer Denny, myself, the principal. We have a buildings and grounds and safety director, so there's a number of people that they can call. They're great at taking care of the kids. So I have great faith that they can make good decisions. It's unfortunate that we're in that situation, but we have to keep talking about that because those situations occur. Elementary, we kind of know when they're out. Secondary, now we're heading outside for sports practices. This weekend, we're going to have our spring play. You have all kinds of things going on, so we need to convene and have those conversations.
I don't mean to occupy any more of the board's time, but I'd like to talk to you more about it. Thank you.
I'd also like to add too, that the SRO does a great job at flexing his schedule around too, to accommodate. He's at the plays, he's at different sporting events, he's at all different things, all hours of the night, coming and going throughout the day, flexing his schedule around to accommodate to these different school functions. So
That was not our intent when we put this together, but we felt there's a greater need for those high-attended events. And so what we'll do is we'll flex those hours so that he can be there, and that creates a need, that satisfies a need for us and a need for the community, and I think the parents respond very well to his presence at that. So we thank you for that partnership.
Thank you.
Are there evacuation drills that include getting away from the building? I know the old fire drills, we didn't go any further from the front door than we had to, and so we're all concentrated in groups of hundreds.
Yes, yes.
And we would be considered very vulnerable.
So I'll give you an example. So one way we did district evacuation in the fall. And so one of the things we learned with that, our district evacuation said we put the high school kids on one side of Brockfield, the middle school kids on the other. Frank Knight comes around the block, goes on to Brockfield as well. Well, in conversation and continuing to enhance, nowadays, don't put 3 schools in one spot, right? So we trialed something. We put the kids on the sidewalk behind the track, the middle school kids. We put the high school kids on the baseball field, and we put the Frank Knight kids on Brockfield. So that they're in 3 spots that, right now the guidance is don't put them all. So you're correct. You don't want to congregate in one area.
And we're going to actually continue to modify that to the point where they're not sure where they're going to be evacuating to until the time of the evacuation. So we're not going to have specific locations for evacuation.
So we also have great partnerships with some community partners, the Seneca Falls Community Center, Mr. Spina for our students to go there. The Chiropractic College rep to Coney with the Athletic Center in the event that we need to get them to an indoor spot for an extended period of time, and Generations Bank for our Katie Stanton students. So we've kind of reached out to be able to connect, tie up the loose ends there for we're able to get them off-site. So it would be, the chief will join me at a school board meeting here within the next month, and we will do the same update with the school board.
Can we ask questions? So with the latest shooting, the person that did the shooting they were told that he had issues and something was going to happen. So how do you even stop that at this level? Do you have anything in place for that?
So we're waiting for more guidance from the state, so we do our own internal threat assessment once information is brought to our attention. And very often, sometimes that's confidential information related to a student, but we have tremendous pupil personnel, staff, psychologists, social workers, counselors that can, and the school resource officer, that can work with the student and the parent to determine if any follow-up action needs to occur outside of school, through a physician or through a counselor. And so right now we do it internally. I would anticipate with what happens, we're going to see guidance on specific threat assessment procedures that we're all going to have to follow. But right now, that's what we do. And we certainly work with Seneca County Community Counseling, Clifton Springs, and so there are many different places. And parents will transport, and sometimes the police will transport.
So do you have any, with social media today, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, kids tweeting things back and forth. So are you putting anything in place for the students to, if they see something, to report it?
See something, say something.
Yeah.
Yep, we've promoted that over the past couple of weeks. I put that in my letter to parents last week on the website. The other thing is we have scanning software. So whenever they're pushing out, posting anything or pushing things out, we're able to pick that up. If it has certain language or vocabulary in there, it goes to our tech department, and then it'll either go to Officer Denny, it'll go to the principal, and then we kind of look into it from there, whether it's violence or something along those lines.
And that's the relationship building that the SRO is continuing to make as the years go on with this program. Building that rapport with the kids, having them make sure that they're comfortable coming to him and reporting these different things. And I will tell you that our relationship with the school district and Mr. McKevney, where we, I know the big thing now is that, no threat is going to be taken lightly. We have not taken any threat lightly in a long time. And we've had that discussion for many years that those days are over. And I know that's a popular thing now being said, but this is something that's been discussed with us for years now. And they don't. And if a kid makes a statement, we act on it. And a lot of times we seek treatment for that child, and we will go to their home and make sure that, so if they say no access to weapons, okay, well, we're going to find out if they have access to
What we
weapons.
don't do is promote that out. It's about kids. It's about integrity of kids. They're still ours. We have to educate them and graduate them. So we've done all of that stuff, but we don't necessarily hang that out. But I don't want to understate the value of the relationship with the town and the police department. It's not uncommon for him to be calling me or texting me at night, and for me, the same. So I greatly appreciate that. It allows us to be right on top of things.
Bobby, mentioned the chief was going to be at your next school board meeting. What's the date?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be the first one in April. I'll let you know the specific date.
I can look on the calendar.
Yeah,
I can let you know too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKevney. We have 3 petitioners tonight. Nikki,
Yeah.
I'll just use my watch.
Okay.
something just under 3 minutes.
You won't hear the beep. Beep, beep. We have 3 petitioners tonight. The first one is Valerie Sandless on environmental issues.
As the chair, can you hear me? As the chair of the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee, I'm here to speak about the proposed incinerator project in Romulus, the preservation of Local Law 3 in Seneca Falls, and ongoing issues with Seneca Meadows. First, we would like the Seneca Falls Town Board to make a public statement or resolution opposing the Romulus incinerator project. The incinerator would be a mere 3,000 feet from Romulus Central School, endangering the health of students and staff, which we feel is unacceptable. We already have Seneca Meadows and its garbage looming over our children in the northern end of the county, so let's help save the children of Romulus from a similar fate. The Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee also wants to express our concern about the preservation of Local Law 3 and the upcoming Article 78 court date in April. Local Law 3 of 2016 passed with a 4-to-1 vote. Thanks to Seneca Falls voters last November, the majority of our current town board also supports Local Law 3. However, Supervisor Lazaro and Town Attorney Foster have both mentioned their preference to negotiate rather than litigate. Given that Local Law 3 is part of our current town code intended to protect our environment and our future, the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee strongly disagrees with this stance. We expect Local Law 3 to be properly defended, as I'm sure at least 3, the majority of our board members do. Seneca Meadows continues to contaminate our community, and we need Local Law 3 to ensure its closure. While Seneca Meadows has recently fulfilled its host community payment to the town, it has not fulfilled its commitment to control the noxious odors that pervade our community. Since returning home after being away for 5 weeks, I have filed an odor complaint 2 of the 5 days I've been back in Seneca Falls. I would have called a 3rd time, but didn't have my phone with me. Yes, our town financially benefits from the landfill, but at what cost? Speaking of cost and finances, I understand that Seneca Meadows' payment to the town in 2017 was approximately $3 million, yet I believe our town allotted $2.3 million in our budget, which would leave us a surplus in the vicinity of $700,000. So, the obvious question is, what are the plans for the surplus? I'm especially curious about this since, as per Town Attorney Foster's recommendation in December, we created a 2018 budget that does not include landfill funding and significantly raised taxes. Since the landfill has apparently agreed to pay the money it owes us, we should also have a surplus of tax funds this year. How will we be using this surplus? These are not rhetorical questions. On that note, Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee thanks you for your time, and I promise that I will stay in touch. Thank you.
Next petitioner is Allison Stokes on town issues.
I am the Reverend Dr. Allison Stokes, founding director of the Women's Interfaith Institute on Fall Street. I begin with a look backward. On March 6, 2009, 9 years ago today, the Finger Lakes Times front page headlines read, "Historic Church Burns, Home to Interfaith Institute in Seneca Falls Badly Damaged." Miraculously, Seneca Falls firefighters saved our building. The Institute bought the church in 2003. We adapted and repurposed the building to bring together people of different faiths. Sadly, our nonprofit organization never fully recovered from the fire. Now the Seneca community players want to adapt and repurpose the historic building to become the Seneca Falls Performing Arts Center. March is Women's History Month. Seneca Falls has special reason to celebrate. Tourists from all over the nation and world are drawn to the birthplace of women's rights. The convention was 170 years ago this July. After the surprise election of President Donald Trump, Seneca Falls became a magnet for women. The day after his inauguration, when there were marches in D.C. and throughout the country, about 10,000 people gathered in Seneca Falls. Chief Pinstra estimates 15,000 came this January. Following the march's path, for hours, walkers streamed past the proud Old Minders Academy building, located on the spacious public park with Civil War monument. Years on the Market Academy Square was sold last May. The new owners, two creative businessmen from Geneva, are doing incredible work on this magnificent, irreplaceable building. What if the Old Minders Academy had become the new municipal building? What if town engineers Barton and LaJudas, after their cursory study of available sites, had decided that the best option was not to construct an expensive building in a distant neighborhood? What if their recommendation had been to save Minders for town benefit? If this had happened, we would be meeting now in a large auditorium, not in a small courtroom, totally inadequate for the upcoming public hearing. If we were meeting in a large auditorium, Josh Durso of Finger Lakes One would be videotaping monthly meetings for posting on the internet, available to viewers everywhere. Many citizens spoke against this new building. Some 350 people signed petitions requesting a referendum. The petitions were rejected on a technicality. Citizens appealed to court. Judge Falvey ruled against them, and here we are. For a town with the visibility, prominence, and national stature of Seneca Falls, this municipal building is totally inadequate. Its flaws are an embarrassment. Barton and LaJudas
You're
are...
over 3 minutes now.
I have 20 seconds to go. I've timed this. Barton and LaJudas are vigorously advocating for a major new $1.5 million project. How can we trust them? It's time to become involved, to raise questions. People, please attend the public hearing on Thursday, March 22nd, at the community center, not here. Thank you.
Our next petitioner is Mr. Robert McGill, and he's going to be speaking about taxes.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the supervisor for the privilege of speaking tonight, because I'm one of the few in this room that realize that I have no constitutional right. The federal government does not address public participation at meetings. It's a state issue, and they say that it's up to the supervisor whether or not anybody can speak. And I appreciate the supervisor allowing me to speak. On taxes, I have here some pages from the dissolution of the village of Seneca Falls. Well, the only thing that they dissolved was the village government. Basically, the village still exists. The infrastructure is still in a shambles. It's still in violation of DEC regulations. There are numerous projects that need to be done. At the time that this was written, the town tax was zero. So that's where the money went prior to the dissolution of the village. The town taxpayers paid zero. This is, in general, all town residents will see the town tax rate go from zero to approximately $4.56 per thousand. So what you are seeing is the town taking over a rundown village and trying to make the changes necessary to keep it going. The town is now twice as big with 3 times the population. Therefore, it's a little bit more expensive. So they have to raise taxes. And I think if you at all remember anything, you will remember that they said they were going to use landfill money for infrastructure improvements. You have a water line that needs to be replaced. You got 10 million gallons of stormwater infiltration in your sewage disposal plant, which is probably obsolete. There are a whole host of infrastructure problems where that money is going to be applied, so they don't have to raise taxes next year. And I want you to know, Waterloo, when you take the town and the village, it pays $20.89 per thousand. Clyde, $24.54 per thousand. Lyons, $27.45 per thousand. Penn Yan, $22.53 per thousand. Newark, $21.02 per thousand. Geneva, $25.02 per thousand. So you're paying half of what you should be paying. Because by the time all these infrastructure problems catch up with you, without landfill money, you are gonna be $50,000 to $80,000, or $50 to $80 million in debt, according to my estimation. And that is all,
3 minutes.
and that is all because the village let things go for decades, and now you have to play catch-up because you're in violation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Okay, I have some reports. I make a move to, minutes. Approval of minutes from the public hearing and the meeting on February 6, 2018.
So moved.
I have a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have some reports here. I make a motion to approve the door control officer report. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. See none?
She's here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
See none? I'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls zoning office report. I'll second that. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I report here, and I make a move to approve it, the Town of Seneca Falls Park and Recreation Report.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, I go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a report from the Highway Superintendent. I make a motion to approve that report.
I'll second it.
Discussion. I see Mr. Pagano is sitting in for Jim Peterson. Jim Peterson is in the hospital, so I hope nothing serious. It doesn't seem to be, but when someone's in the hospital, he needs your prayers. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the assessment report. I'll second. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Forster, do you have anything to report on?
Just that, for those of you, I'm sure everyone here is aware, there was a public hearing that was going to take place earlier this evening on the Ludovico Trail. And as many of you may, some may not know, one of the publication dates by the entity designated to publish apparently was not published on one of the two dates. So there was the absence of one of those dates, therefore, to ensure that the hearing would be timely noticed, it had to be changed. There's also been a change in the location,
Yes, location,
and that will be at the
the recreation center.
community center, rec center.
Community center.
And I trust that everybody, I just want to make sure everybody understands the reason for the not having it on this evening.
Okay, make a motion to approve Mr. Forster's remarks. I need a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Town Court report. Second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the water and sewer report.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Police report for February 2018, and the Seneca Falls Police Department 2017 year-end report.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I like to,
Quick, Supervisor.
I like-
I just wanted to note and let everybody in the public know that we have our winners for our Stop DWI Officer of the Year Award. This year it was tied between Officer Camacho and Officer Clauston. They will be receiving the award for the county, countywide award on the 22nd, and that will be at a dinner at the Tool Hotel. I'd like to congratulate both of those officers for a fine job in 2007, and our department was the lead agency on DWI enforcement again this year. Also, again, real quickly, I just wanted to thank the Seneca County Youth Bureau for donating $500 towards our DARE program. Those costs help with T-shirts and things like that for our DARE graduation. So again, thank you, Seneca County Youth Bureau, for that generous donation.
Mr. Delaney, do you have something?
yeah, I wanted to congratulate you on your report for the end of the year report. It's very good. People, I'm sure you got extra copies. If someone wants to look at it, it's a fulfillment of the whole year. Things that's gone on with the town, and we do our need our police.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Barton, Judas, do you have anything at this point?
Well, later on the agenda, we have an agreement regarding the treatment plan grant that the town received. With that, there's 3 resolutions that New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation requires signed as part of that, so we can, I think those resolutions are attached to the grant when we get that part of the agenda.
And we just got a report on it. I make a motion to approve that report.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other committee reports? I make a motion to approve the communications received and filed.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, can I ask, I'm trying to find it, what is the first one? Can that be explained in this forum?
Communications, right here.
It's a bankruptcy case,
I'm sorry, say it again?
a bankruptcy case.
Okay. What is it, the list? Oh, thanks.
It's an electronic bankruptcy notice.
This is a standard notification to anybody holding any indebtedness that may have come from this particular organization, WRS Holdings LLC. It's a notice to the town. Typically, these things are listed in the nature of taxes. The town receives a notification because somebody has taxes that may have been listed in the bankruptcy. Municipalities receive a priority claim. It's theirs for the filing. They typically just come in, research the tax rolls to see if anything is owed by them. If so, then a claim is filed.
Thank you.
Yep.
So a motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There's really nothing under old business at this point. Sale of condominium, write-off uncollectible receivables, and Route 414 sewer line transfer from IDA to town. That's still in process.
We'll have an update for you. The counties has had one meeting with a lot of different people involved. There will be a follow-up to this at some point. again at the county. And at that point, we will have an information session for all those concerned, interested.
Is that just a reference to C, the Route 414 story?
Yes, it is. It is.
Going on to new business, approval of special events. Jim?
Yes, we do. We have two permit applications submitted, both of them reviewed by Chief and myself. The first one is for Saturday, March 24th in People's Park. Indivisible Seneca Falls is requesting to have a rally to demand action on gun violence. They will gather to honor victims of gun violence and man-made action in People's Park. I believe it's in conjunction with others going on around the country, I believe, that day. From 11:30 to 1:30, we expect about 200 people. And so that one's there. You want to do them individually? We'll read them both and do them together.
We'll do them together.
Second one's simple. Seneca Falls Little League, their annual opening day parade, Saturday, April 28th, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Gather at the community center, over the bridge, down Bear Street to Kids Territory. And I know that's an easy one, Chief, done year in, year out. So those are the two. Both proper, everything submitted properly, we're good to go. So we just recommend approval from the board.
Any other discussion on that? Okay. I make a motion to approve those two, approval of special events permits.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Got a letter here. Dear Ms. Greer and members of the Seneca Falls Town Board, thank you for your town's continuing support for Finger Lakes Television. The only option for those who wish to exercise freedom of expression via the cable broadcast system. FLT's TV makes continual improvements to serve its communities. Seneca Falls Town Board meetings are now available on demand right on the programming schedule page of the station's website. This invoice letter requests payment for the following service: support for the operation of Finger Lakes TV to allow for broadcast of local programming. Amount $2,100 due upon receipt. So I make a motion to pay them $2,100.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Just a question, not having done this before, this is a question I asked Vic. Are they giving us a bill or are they asking for a donation?
No, donation.
It's a donation.
It doesn't read that way.
Donation.
Okay.
And Spectrum has it on demand, I guess. That's why our bills went up there. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Appoint the real property tax service aide. Stephanie, you want to speak on that for a second?
Yes, there, as we discussed before, there were two people that were currently on the list, so it's not considered a certifiable list by the county human resource department. So we ran the ad. I did get a few more applicants. I ended up interviewing 4 people. I shared all their applications with the personnel committee. We sat down and reviewed them all. And then after checking references and other information, I'd like to ask the board to appoint Kim Rose to the position. I also sent her
Kim?
application, Kim Rose.
Rose, okay.
Yeah. And I sent her application information to all of the board. And her appointment would be a provisional appointment pending that she passes the civil service exam with at least a 70 or above. I don't have a date yet for when they're going to reschedule that exam or have that exam again, because they had it last year as well.
What would her rate of pay be?
$14.82. And I was looking for a start date of April 2nd.
Okay, I make a motion to approve Kim Kim Rose as a provisional real property tax service aide at the rate of $14.82 per hour starting April 3rd.
Second.
Second.
April 7th, that's full time.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Got a letter here that you received in our packet from, it was sent to Dan Babbitt, and so I make a motion to approve the resignation of Mary Kelleher as a planning board member.
Second it.
Discussion?
I would like to thank for her years of service she's been on there. It is a voluntary position, so
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next two items, E and F, I would like to table because well, first of all, I didn't receive any information that the person had resigned, and we haven't sent out an ad for these.
Yeah, had an ad in there.
But now that there's a vacancy, we need to put another ad in, because people are putting in for a real, and these have to come before the board before the meeting night, because I had no knowledge that the person resigned, except looking at my board packet. So I make a motion to table E and F.
I'll make that motion.
I made the motion, you seconded.
Sorry, I seconded it.
Discussion.
So we got this packet Friday. We knew about it since Friday.
I received it on Monday.
You received yours Monday.
Do we have other vacancies on these boards?
On the boards?
Yes.
So we're advertising to fill all the vacancies?
We say for
I'm
months, we've been
asking.
saying, we've been asking for volunteers at all our board meetings.
I have advertised, it's hard to get people to board, to serve. It is hard. I have advertised before and gotten not many responses at all. These people came to my office, asked for applications. I gave them. There is a notice on my board outside my office that I had published a while back, and it's saying that we need volunteers.
So I don't know if the website is correct, but it says, so there's vacancies with Mary's resignation, there's vacancies on all three boards, am I correct?
On zoning board, there is one more.
Yeah.
Planning board, there
There is
one.
now, and then two on Heritage Preservation.
Yes.
Step up, people.
And I have had, there's another person that just got an application for the HPC position. Just tonight.
I think a notice should be put out in, would that be the Rebel
Mhm.
or town newspaper, and applications received, the notice goes out. Well, is it too late this week to put it out? Yeah, it was
Yes, it'll be
printed.
next week.
It'll be next week, so put a date of the day before the next board meeting. Is there a policy procedure on how long those ads, once those ads are posted, how long they have to be given?
I don't believe that the town policy, in and of itself, Nikki had.
No, we don't.
That they don't do it, I don't think so.
No. So when you put this ad out, these people that are on this list, will they be considered?
Everyone who puts in an application will be considered, since it's the purview of the board to appoint the people, because those are appointments by this board. Then we will set up an interview committee.
Isn't a personnel committee the people that they would interview?
They could, yes.
Supervisor,
Yes.
our chairman, Dan Bevan, had his hand up there.
Yes, Dan.
Excuse me, I realize I'm a little out of order, but you're mentioning members for the board. There's room for alternates. People would like to find out what's going on, but don't want to jump in and get their feet muddy right off the bat. Muddy? You can sit down on a meeting. All you gotta do is find out when it's there. Volunteer to be an alternate after that. You're needed. If we get down too far, business can come to a halt. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to echo that, what Dan is saying for our meetings. It's very helpful, very, very helpful for somebody who wants to come forward. You know, to be an alternate, it's not really an obligation. But you can get acclimated to it, and it's a good exposure. I think you'll find some of the discussions are interesting, informative, and timely.
So I made a motion to table these until next month. So put 2 weeks on the application. What is it? Motion was seconded for table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And there's a resignation of HPC board member. So I make a motion to accept that resignation of Dick Foote.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Just like to thank him for his years of service. I mean, I tried to attend some of these zoning board and planning board meetings. I missed a few in his last couple of months, but they've always done a good job. He's done a good job.
So there'll be a vacancy on that committee also.
This is semantics, but do we ever accept the resignation with regret, add that language, or do you just add that? We asked a lot of these people if we asked them.
It's a formality that can be had. If you want to add that to it, make a motion, and then we'll go through the proper procedure to make that motion.
Stack motions on top of motion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, then I would move that we accept both these resignations with regret.
Second.
Commend them for their service. Okay.
Discussion on the amended motion. Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. On the main motion to accept the resignation with regret, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Bonadio letter of engagement for 217 audit. This is their annual,
Yeah, that's right.
okay, yeah, this is their annual audit that has to be approved by the board. Actually, they're going to start tomorrow. They sent me this earlier in the month.
With a fee of $3,200.
Yes. So, I make a motion to approve Bonadio as the auditors for our audit, which will
Second it.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'll sign it, and they're gonna be in tomorrow, Nikki, so,
We'll give it to them.
and we'll need a copy of this kept in the office too.
Yes. There's 2 copies there.
I make a motion on, this This resolution opposing the garbage incinerator in the town of Romulus, Seneca County.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
I have an actual resolution here. It's long, but I'll read it if that's what's required.
Yeah.
This is the same one that other municipalities around the city. Oh, okay.
There's no need to read it.
Okay.
I'm taking my lead from the town of Romulus, who did not support this by a vote of, I think it was 5-0 in theirs. Although I generally feel that the incinerator, all of a sudden, a lot of people become experts on incineration in 5 months, and I find that hard to believe. Although I think we have someone in our county who does a real good job of disposing of our garbage. And I don't want to see this being proliferated throughout the Finger Lakes. But I really think that people have to stop, look, and listen. And when I was first on the county board, and we were talking about the problems with our Seneca Meadows, the issues there, a lot of people were saying incineration is the way to go in the future. And a noted environmental law firm from Rochester, Knopf Shore, is backing this project out very clearly, an environmental law firm. They should have some knowledge about these incinerators. I don't know whether it's bad, I don't know whether it's good. And I believe that most people who believe it's bad in 5 months, because I read reports that this is a very good way to get rid of garbage, and I read reports that it's a very bad way to get rid of garbage. Which do you believe in 5 months? But I will support it because of Romulus voting 5-0 to not support it in their town. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just, to me, that it goes to the larger issue of Seneca County and the Central Finger Lakes. We can't continue to be the repository for other people's garbage. And the fact that the list I got just pulled from the newspaper, Ontario County, the town of Romulus, Romulus School District, town of Tyre, town of Geneva, city of Geneva, town of Fayette, town of Varick, have all passed resolutions opposing this incinerator. This is about as much unanimity as I've ever seen from a region on a single issue, and I think we need to step in line with these others and speak with a larger voice of the Central Finger Lakes and saying, no more garbage.
Also, I got a concern with that 445,000 gallons of water that's going to be taken out of Seneca Lake. What's that going to do? I mean, that's a lot of water taken out of there every day.
I think just the bigger picture is, again, you don't know what that's putting into the air. I don't. Proximity to a school, and again, goes back to the school.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The highway equipment rental bid will be going out.
I think,
I,
Make a motion.
what?
Have to make a motion to advertise.
Yeah. And so I will make a motion to advertise this bid Notice is hereby given that a bid will be conducted by the town of Seneca Falls Town Board at the Town Hall, 130 Ovich Street, Seneca Falls, New York, on Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018, for annual rental agreements of heavy equipment on a per-hour and tonnage basis, including operators for various anticipated town projects. I made that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I think this year I would like to talk more about that before we put it out. I'd like to have maybe a few people come to the meeting and speak about the procedure and the way we do it, period.
Okay, so why don't you move to, if you want that, if you think more information is needed,
I think more information is needed on that. I really do.
make a motion to table it for next meeting, and we can get a highway meeting together
Okay.
and invite people.
Can I ask Mr., since Jim's not here, April 3rd is, we want the bids in by, is that gonna be too late for any projects that we got coming up?
They start blacktop in
Yeah, I'm gonna say blacktop in May, right?
Dave,
My
this
question
doesn't
is,
become
if
effective until June.
you want to discuss it now, I can bring it up now.
No, we'll discuss it at highway.
Okay, all right.
Okay, the bids are gonna be effective in July 1st,
June.
on July 1st, 2018.
So amend,
That was June.
Okay.
just say, like, table this until the April meeting.
Okay, I'd like to table it till the April meeting.
You're making that a motion?
Yeah.
Motion, I'll second that.
Now, we'll-
Discussion.
Are we gonna bring contractors in and talk? Is that what you plan on doing then?
Pardon?
Contractors come in here and talk to us about it?
No, not contractors.
Just talk amongst ourselves?
Either that or, there's people that have questions about it.
Was it any questions about this year's bids or about the bid
Yes,
process?
this year coming up. One of the questions is, we hire an outside firm, okay? We pay for the blacktop, we pay for the equipment rental, we pay everything to do with that. But yet, we have town issues here and problems that we can't take care of. We have flooding issues, our people say they blacktop. The highway superintendent has stated emphatically that he blacktops all summer. So we have residents on Shamrock Avenue, Carroll Avenue. I have people on Noble Road that have been flooded and they haven't been able to get relief. The winter, we don't do it in the winter. And in the summer, we can't get any help because they're blacktopping. And my question is, I don't understand if I'm paying for the blacktop and the equipment and the expertise, they run their own equipment, their own dump trucks and their own equipment. What is it that, when you put something out to bid at your house, it shouldn't be any different. You expect them to do the job, come in, pay them when it's done, it's acceptable, and you move on. I don't understand what our manpower does to facilitate the blacktopping.
If we have an outside company actually.
Right, right, we don't do it, we farm it out. Maybe this is one of those things that we can work with the county on. I just don't understand how we have residents that are having real problems and I can't get any relief from them. I have Center Street issues, I have ditch issues throughout the town that I have no help with. And I can bring in pictures that residents have sent me, their basements, their yards, and there's no relief. What do we do?
Well, when they're blacktopping, Tim, who's the one that comes in and does the milling? Usually we have some milling done.
We're on site helping.
Yeah.
That's saving tax dollars by us being there because we're not paying, as last few years, it's been Seneca Pipe and Pavement.
Right.
You can pay them, and I'll throw a figure out there, say $40 an hour versus paying us half that amount, being on site, working with them.
Right.
You're paying for their services on, like, their their dump trucks that are there,
Mhm.
their equipment that's there that we don't own ourselves.
Right.
If we own the equipment, for the most part, we're using our own equipment.
Right.
So, I mean, we're trying to save,
What
we're
I'm
trying
saying,
to, we're trying to stretch that dollar.
right.
What I'm saying is, when they're milling, you're there with the Bobcats.
We're there with
That trucks
we're there
in
with
the
our
hauling of the
our
waste.
dump trucks, we're there with our other town dump trucks now.
Right, so if
So,
I
I mean,
put
it's
that
not-
out to bid, I'm inviting,
It's costing the taxpayers more money. It's gonna cost.
we don't know that.
You
If I'm-
know that you're gonna use a town, you're gonna use a municipality dump truck for nothing.
No.
For convenience.
Oh, I'm gonna put it out to bid.
So you're paying more
I
money.
want it, I don't know that. I want to invite bidders to bid, and then I want to sit down and say, okay, is this the best bang for our dollar? And in the meantime, I want our guys to do what's needed in town.
Could we ask contractors to bid on it both ways? Would they do all the work?
Oh, absolutely.
And bid a separate bid if we have our people doing what they've done in the past?
All we can pretty much do is mill. I mean, I guess we use our trucks to help, but if we put this out to bid, okay, we have a number that we know we're gonna spend. We've been blacktopping for years. We should identify what streets we want to blacktop, put that out to bid. As far as, we don't have any more highway people to do what we need residents, needs. We can't meet their needs. When are we gonna do what we need to do as far as the town? The village used to maintain ditches, okay, and right of ways to the creeks, the streams. We don't, I can show you pictures under the water tower where there's trees this big growing up through the creek bed. And it's affecting your street up that way back.
Well, Patricia Drive.
Yes, it's affecting residents up there. And we can't get any relief. I don't know what else to do.
Okay, we'll set up a highway meeting, and we'll discuss those issues, try to get some facts and figures, and then the highway committee will come back with what our recommendations are.
Yep. The people I was gonna bring in are people that have been flooded, that are currently flooded, that have had no relief. And this is years.
There have been a number of people you and I have walked.
Yes,
I've seen that.
yes.
Does losing a month on this bid process set you guys back? I mean, what does that do to your season?
Because it won't affect it until June.
So we've got a little time.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
No,
No. One no vote. A highway tree removal bid. Can that be posted? Make a motion to post the highway, Town of Seneca Falls, tree removal bid.
Second.
Discussion.
I have a question on it.
I'd like to have the proposal to, we go by the diameter of the tree this year.
You want to make an amendment on that?
Well, it's here, right, proposal sheet.
I'm recommending the other way. Again, since we haven't bid yet, I would make a recommendation to table, bring it back to the highway committee, and we'll come up with a recommendation at next month's meeting.
Well, we did it the other way last year. We didn't do by diameter of trees. And if you figure out what we had done and stuff, it cost us $4,000, almost $4,000 more, so I'd like to try.
I explored that before we awarded. Cranebrook has always had the bids in the town of Seneca Falls. Steve Skinner finally bid and was a successful bidder, and he bids by the tree. And I showed him that, and I showed the other vendor too. Which way, because I'm not a tree surgeon, I asked them if this system, this formula by a diameter would work. And they said no, because you get a lot of spruce trees in town, and different trees that may only be 20 inches in diameter, It's a thing's 300 feet tall. So that particular situation, we haven't done that since we were a village. And I think when we were a village, we did it once or twice. And it didn't work out too good when we were a village. So the way they've been doing it is formula that they've used through Cranebrook and Scott Skinner, Steve Skinner, I'm sorry. He bid, they bid, he was the successful bidder, put it up for bid again, but I say keep the same program that we've had in works.
Not go by the
Right, not go back to that.
Right, diameter.
Right, which they seem to think is a little archaic, because when you have trees in Seneca Falls, an old town and village, that have trees 100 feet tall, because of their space, there's not enough room.
So, are we looking to table or approve one over the other? Or would you want to have a further discussion of the highway?
I don't know, I just thought we tried a different way, but I figured the other way works. He's been
They've both
checking
been
it out.
for years.
But we go out for bid, I guess.
So I'll make the motion to approve for the highway bid to go out for the removal of trees at a price per tree. And there's a price for the whole day and price for the hourly rate.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. There's two bids here that we have to approve. One for the, highway electrical, but, yeah. You don't have anything on the electrical bid, okay. Okay, so I make a motion to go out for bid for the electrical service bid.
Second that.
Discussion.
The only thought I had is does it make sense for us to do this bid town-wide rather than just the highway department?
Well, it would be town-wide, but it's.
It comes under the highway.
Comes under highway department.
Okay. So if Jim needs something, it's covered by this bid?
Yes.
Okay. Doug, it's just because it falls under that category, that's all. It's not limited to that. All right.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There's two bids here for highway garage door quotes. One is for $3,685, and the other is for $4,525.
Make a motion that we do the Warren construction for $3,685.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And collector of water rates and sewer rates. There's two memos here, I'm sure everyone's read them. And it was my opinion, after talking to the auditors, that we turn over the collection of water and sewer rents to the water and sewer department. And there's another memo in there that disagrees with my synopsis, so.
I still believe we should stay pantry window there. It's more secure. It's worked for years. I talked to her about it. She said she didn't care really where it went, as long as it was getting done professionally and right the way it has been.
I'd like to add to that the auditors are here and they're still working. And part of the recommendation was that the water and sewer bills go to the water and sewer department. They've done it when it was a village. The water department did take the money. They took the checks, they did it all. Currently what's happening is the clerk is taking half. She's taking the money part of it. The paperwork part of it is all still down the hall. There's a lot of confusion there. As far as security, there's a lot of things in this building that I really don't understand. And if I go into a bank a couple times a day or a week, and I'm right across from hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't have bulletproof glass. They don't have locked doors. We do it every day. We had a drop box at the old village office where people that were late with a bill could actually put it into the box, and they had it taken care of the next day. Their hours are different than what we're running here. So it was a convenience to the taxpayers. That being said, I think this is an inconvenience the way it's being done now. The water and sewer department is set up to do this. They have the software on their computers. A lot of people are doing it, and I want to take it to the next step. I'd like to see credit cards and debit cards used throughout the town.
I agree with that.
The rec center, instead of cash, people coming with their children to enroll them in programs, they only use cash. If people want to come up here and pay for their water bill or whatever bills they have, they should be allowed the option to use their debit or credit card. And that's just the way I feel. I talked to the girls in the water department, and they're completely, Bev is out of it. She's the head accountant. The girls in the water department are the ones that will be doing it. They're all set up for it, and they're looking forward to doing it.
Now, credit cards, you do it at court, which is a percentage.
That
Are
would
we
be,
going to have a percentage for them to pay their water bill
I believe,
with a credit card?
I believe that's something that's dictated by the bank. I have friends in banking that can tell me. I know to use a credit card or a debit card, there is a fee associated with it. But your bank would set that fee, I believe. I don't believe we, right, I don't believe we would charge a fee for asking them to use a debit or credit card.
They pay an additional fee if they pay in that.
Right.
No, they don't. I mean, if I buy something with a credit card, I don't pay more because I use a credit card, unless I'm buying gas.
For town assessments, for municipal assessments only, if you pay any type of a bill, you'll see the service charge shall come across twice on the card, once for the amount of the bill and like $1.95 because you used a card. But with a regular credit card, no. But for payment of municipal items, the theory being that the municipality shouldn't absorb the cost of your convenience to pay.
So two other things that come to mind here. I've said before, a little bit of knowledge about a lot of subjects is dangerous, but I've been to all these training sessions. The comptroller keeps saying that you need checks and balances, you need money passing through several hands, all of whom are signing off on this process. It seems like what we have now does that. There's also stability in the town clerk's office that, and not casting aspersions on the water people at all, but that department hasn't demonstrated in the last year. And then the third thing, so we're still waiting for the final auditor report, are we not? So why not wait until that recommendation? We all have it in front of us.
I think it's wise to wait for that report. I would also note, if you want to review this under the town law, Section 29 will give you the supervisor's duties. Section 30 will give you the clerk's duties. In a nutshell, the supervisor is ultimately responsible. he delegates it, this is a delegable duty, not really, what you're doing is trying to make it a board decision, it's really a delegated duty. But if you look at section 30 for what the town clerk does, it says the town clerk by default will be doing the physical duties of this unless there is a specific department for the collection of water and sewer. Here we have a specific department, so I would invite all of your attention to just, it's a very short read, it's not really heavy legalese, but if you read the duties and sections, you'll see the exception that's created. The only question that I have is that if we take certain duties away from a department that we created, how do you then justify the additional people in that department if they're not doing the full job? So that starts to run into an issue later on. So at this point, I think that the delegated duty section for the clerk says it should be the clerk unless there's an established department. Here, there's an established department, so it's a judgment call on what you want to do, but I think if you read the whole sections together, 29 and 30, you would come to the conclusion it's a delegated duty by the person who ultimately bears the responsibility for the fiduciary responsibility, and that's honestly the supervisor. So, but I'm just giving you the sections to look at, read them for yourself, and draw your own conclusions.
Doug, when you were speaking, I heard you say, why don't we wait for the audit report? If you want to make that motion to wait for the audit report to make the final decision.
It sounds like there isn't really a decision for us to make.
I don't think there is a decision,
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
But I think your suggestion of, before we compare what's going on, let's see what the auditors have to say about the way things are done. I think that's a wise move. Before you do anything, one way or the other, and no matter, even if you leave it with the supervisor's decision, I think you should get a good grasp on this.
So a motion that recommends that you wait until the auditor's report.
However, it's your motion, however you want to do it. I'm just trying to give you the information.
I could table the discussion on this until the auditor's report.
Why don't you
Probably quicker, easier way.
Okay. Table the discussion on this until the auditor's report. I made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. B&L proposal preliminary engineering report, engineering planning grant.
So I submitted again, this is in December, the town received the engineering planning grant for performance of a kind of a comprehensive study of the wastewater treatment plant. Essentially, this is an 80% payable grant. The whole grant amount is up to $30,000. The proposal we submitted is for $25,000. What would happen is that the grant amounts work out to, I think, about $4,000 just per the resolutions of the company that's thinking $4,100 for ultimately the town payment, and then EFC would finance the remainder of that, I think $20,800, somewhere along those numbers. Essentially, this is a detailed study of the treatment plant. There's in the proposal we submitted provides kind of what the process is, workshops at the beginning, kind of we visit the plant, take a look at some alternatives, provide those findings. So it's not just generating a report, it's a kind of stepwise process working through our evaluation for that. So again, it's an opportunity. It's an 80% grant from New York State. Understanding that the treatment plant itself does a good job, but as we talked about earlier, expanding low treatment, trying to increase capacity, and it's also fairly aged treatment plant too. So we're getting to the point where things, the treatment plant, a lot of the upgrades are pushing 20 years. So it's a good opportunity to kind of take a hard look at what's going on with the plant and understand what upgrades can possibly may be necessary.
Pete previously provided me with the information with regard to the 3 resolutions. And honestly, to me, this is a no-brainer, but it's just 3 resolutions. All they come down to really is enabling legislation in order to allow these to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, one is authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract with Environmental Facilities Corporation, a resolution that the town would commit a local match to the overall project, and then the fact that it's a type 2 action under seeker, meaning that you don't need to go through the full EAF environmental assessment process.
All 3 of them really form what I believe to be just a no-brainer, just a formality, pro forma to get it done and get it in the process.
In order to enter into those grants or all of those resolutions, all part of the process that are required by EFC in order to obtain the final grant.
Okay, so the first resolution, designating town supervisor to execute the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Engineering Planning Grant Agreement for the preliminary engineering report for wastewater treatment plant improvements. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I guess I gotta take a roll call vote here, so, okay. Yeah, why?
Lou Ferrara,
Yes.
Dave DeLulis,
Yes.
Greg Lucero,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes.
Vic Beretta,
Yes.
Okay, that's 5 yes, no, opposed, resolution passes. Next resolution is Town of Seneca Falls Town Board authorization and appropriation of local match for the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Engineering Planning Grant for the preliminary engineering report for wastewater treatment plant improvements. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I gotta take a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Lou Ferrara,
Yes.
Dave DeLulis,
Yes.
Greg Lucero,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes?
Vic Beretta,
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. The third resolution is determination that the proposed wastewater treatment plant engineering study is a type 2 action under seeker and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. I have a second.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor? Oh, roll call vote.
Lou Ferrara,
Yes.
Dave DeLulis,
Yes.
Greg Lucero,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes.
Vic Beretta,
Yes.
Motion passes. There are no water and sewer credits. There's no need for an executive session tonight. I move to pay the bills.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned.